We welcome in from Bulls on SI, a publisher for the site, Elias Schuster. You can follow him on the artist formerly known as Twitter, @Schuster_Elias. He is on Zoom, and he joins us on the Circa Resort and Casino hotline, circalasvegas.com. Elias, how are you enjoying this All-Star break?
First off, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. Believe it or not, always ready to talk Bulls. The All-Star break, I'm enjoying it. How could I not be? I think we all needed a break after what was a chaotic trade deadline and what has been another underwhelming season in a lot of ways. So I welcomed this All-Star break with open arms, but I love basketball. We need some more stuff to talk about, so I'm ready for the games to start up again.
Okay, so you're ready for the games to start. Do you expect the Bulls to play their players? And when I say their players, those four guys I just mentioned, are they going to play, or are they going to truly go for the tank?
Yeah, I think it's what's interesting, right, is that the NBA just decided to throw out that $500,000 warning to the Utah Jazz about how to handle things moving forward here. So I think that and I think the Bulls themselves, right, they've shown over these past few years, even though this trade deadline may suggest they're willing to take a big step back, this doesn't necessarily seem like the organization that will go as aggressively in the tanking direction as a organization like Utah. So do I expect guys, like a Josh Giddey, Trey Jones, Jalen Smith? Do I expect these guys to play? I do, and I think there's some importance, there as well, because Josh Giddey, especially, that's someone that you want to have on the floor next to some of these new pieces that you have welcomed in, especially Jaden Ivey, Rob Dillingham, guys that more so seem like they could be a part of what they're building, we still don't know. But if they want to evaluate these young guys, they have to see how they fit with some of these other pieces that could be around. I mean, Jalen Smith's under contract next year, so seeing how he might fit with some of these guys is important. So I expect him to be on the floor. Does that mean I expect him to win many games? That's a different question.
Elias, I look at this tanking situation in the NBA right now, and I say the system is designed for teams to do this, right? Like, if I'm one of these 10 worst teams in the NBA, and the Bulls are the 10th worst team in the NBA for everybody out there at this point, it's probably worth it for me, even with the fines, to say, if I have a chance at the big three, we'll call them, in college basketball that could be available in the draft, it's probably worth it, even if I get fined, let's call it $1 million between now and the draft.
Yeah, I definitely understand that point. I think especially in this draft, right? Like, you want to be up there. A lot of people have kind of already made the comment. If you were going to decide to go this tanking route, which is a phrase they'll never throw out there, but go this rebuilding route, like, this should have been done before. That's the biggest problem is once again, whether it be waiting too long to trade players, they've just waited too long to maybe start this new era. So, that's going to be something to watch moving forward, is whether or not, I think, where they go from here and what direction they set is going to be important for this offseason, because even going into next year, the draft's not as good. But can they at least set a standard, like, we're going to be pushing for that high draft pick or not? I mean, they still have a lot of explaining to do with what this process is going to be. But in terms of the approach that they should take, I think going for that high draft pick this year is important. I still don't see them necessarily sitting these players, let's say, but they might just lose the amount of games anyway. We've already seen these last handful of games haven't gone well. When you welcome this many new players into the picture, it can be really hard to pull off wins, especially in the fourth quarter where they've crumbled, 4 of the last 5 games.
Yeah, because they didn't have Josh Giddey or Trey Jones or Isaac Okoro or Jalen Smith. This is Elias Schuster joining us here on Rahimi, Harrison, Grote, the publisher for Bulls on SI. Here's the problem, Elias. They're not catching the Hornets. The Hornets are a team that is taking big steps this season, but I could easily see them passing the Atlanta Hawks, who are a game and a half above them. The Hawks, by the way, have lost 3 in a row. They've got Jalen Johnson, but not a lot of star power beyond that. And there's going to be games where if the Bulls get those guys back, I'm sorry, Billy Donovan doesn't coach to tank. If they don't sit them down, can you not see a situation where they fail at this stated goal of getting out of the middle this season?
Oh no, I can 100% see that situation. I think I think that's what's also scary about the way that they handled this deadline, where you bring back someone like Anthony Simons and you bring back somebody like Colin Sexton. Like those are guys that a lot of people thought when those trades happened might be flipped, at least one of them, or maybe there's conversations. Not to say there's conversations with the team, but just among fans, among those online, like, hey, is someone going to buy out? Are they going to buy out one of these guys? Like these are guys that are not only can help them win over these next handful of weeks, but are also going to steal potentially developmental minutes from a guy like Jaden Ivey or from Rob Dillingham, who you need to evaluate. So, can they fall flat on their face in with this situation? Absolutely. I still think they could end up in that play-in mix. Now, the only thing that's working in their favor, we could talk about getting a boost with Josh Giddey coming back and Trey Jones, but they're still going to be playing with a very different group of players, and it's very hard. We saw this when they first traded for Nikola Vucevic, even, and they were pushing for the play in that year or whatever it was in 2021, where they go get a guy like Vuce. They still weren't able to make the playoffs. It's just like when you add in these new pieces, it's really hard to get on a winning track, especially when other teams are vying for seeding in a way. So. Is it possible they win too many games? Absolutely. It's the Bulls. Billy Donovan, you said it exactly right. He's not going to coach with just development in mind. He's going to coach with winning in mind. But whether or not they could pull it off, I definitely have questions about that with this crew.
Elias, I'm sitting here. I'm like,
right?
I'm listening to you. I'm thinking through all of these things. I'm looking at the Bulls roster right now, and I just keep coming back to what is the point of all of this? Because you're saying that the Bulls might win enough games to make the play-in after Arturas Karnisovas says the play-in isn't the goal, but it's clearly been for them. And then you keep guys like Colin Sexton and Anthony Simons, who, like, look, when Anthony Simons got traded to the Bulls, I'm like, this is like a bucket. Like, this is a guy that go get you 25 on a night. Like, why is he here?
Well, I can see the Simons thing even, Elias, but the Sexton thing makes no sense from a timetable standpoint, and he could be helping someone, I don't know, that's trying to make the playoffs.
Right. I think it was this, if you want to, keep adding on too, Gershon Yabusele, going to get him from the Knicks was a confusing move. Nick Richards, you flip, Ousmane Dieng, who's now had multiple really strong games for the Bucks. He's a 22-year-old forward that would make a ton of sense for this philosophy they've had of adding these former lottery picks who haven't had a chance. They flip him for Nick Richards because they needed center depth, I guess. But also, why do you need the center depth if your plan here is to go for draft picks, is to go for just development and rebuilding? So it's when, the question is that's why I kind of brought it up earlier, right? There still needs to be a lot set in stone this offseason of like, what is the plan here? Because did they change up the whole roster? Yes. Did they take a big step? Like, did they take a step backward? I still think, yes, they took a step backward and they added some second round picks, which I know a lot of people joke about, but I do think in today's league, like, we see them packaged in all these deals and stuff. So you can make something of second round picks. So in a way, like, they did take this small step back, but was it a big enough step back? Like, we're going to find that out over the next handful of games. And we're also going to find that out in the offseason when, hey, are they just going to start sending a message like, well, actually next season, though, we want to get back, we want to compete again. And we're going to go and sign all these veterans with all this money that we have this offseason. Or we'll continue to be this message of like development, trading for more draft picks, all this stuff. Like, that's why this felt like the beginning, or maybe the beginning of something, but it's a long process. Like, they have not earned the benefit of the doubt, right, with fans and people in the city about what the plan is for this team. There could be shades of a plan here, but there's so much more work that would need to be done.
Shades
Elias,
of a plan.
You're cooking right now. We're listening to Elias Schuster, Bulls on SI, here on Rahimi, Harris, and Grote on The Score. This is Russ Dorsey. Elias, all right, let's do this. I'm going to put you in Arturas Karnisovas' seat because you and Marshall mentioned something about Billy Donovan is not going to coach to tank. I get all that, and I respect Billy Donovan for that. But you're Arturas Karnisovas. At what point do you take it out of Billy's hands? At what point do you say, Billy, we love and respect you. We're going to pull a plug on this thing, and we're going to try to get Cam Boozer. And Rob Dillingham is going to play 48 minutes a night.
Which, yeah, I think if you're asking me, and not not Artur's, I think that should be happening, right?
Yeah.
So, and if I am in Artur's shoes, that should be happening right now. I think just seeing when I saw Jaden Ivey taken out of that starting lineup in the game before the All-Star break here, I was scratching my head because I think, maybe, yeah, they just want to see how he looks with Dillingham in that second unit, or see the two of those guys play together. But then why not do that in the starting lineup? And they did at least end up with more minutes than the Sexton Simons duo in that game, which eased some concerns. But the question is, is that going to continue to happen? Is that just the first sign of Billy Donovan leaning on these veterans that they just acquired, who will be free agents in a couple of months anyway? So if I'm in his shoes, like, that's already the messaging for me. That should already be the messaging. Like, I know we talk about the fines and the apparent tanking, but there's also a difference between what the Utah Jazz are doing and what a team that's just looking to develop young guys is doing, right? And so if you are the Bulls, you can still not worry about what it looks like in the league eye and all this stuff. And I know you were saying, Russ, like, oh, just take the you can still take the fine. Sure, even do that, but they don't even have to worry about the fines, in my opinion, if they wanted to just lean on these young guys, because they have enough of them, and that's still an okay process. You're not saying like, oh, we're playing to lose. We're just playing around Dillingham a bunch because we need to see what we have in him and if he can grow more. And so I think it's, if I'm in the shoes, that's already the messaging. And I don't know if that, maybe over the next few weeks we see a little bit more of that, but we do know that front office and Billy communicate a lot. They're very close. So, they also obviously have a lot of trust in Billy Donovan. They've kept him around this long. He's the third longest tenured head coach in the league. And so if he's pushing back on that, I don't know if they push back again. It's hard to say.
Elias Schuster joining us here on Rahimi, Harris, and Grote. One last one for you, Elias. If you're the Bulls and seeing where they're probably going to be landing in this, hopefully, lottery, who should they be targeting? What should they be going after? What do you see as a realistic target if they're not picking, let's say, in the top 4?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, like, obviously the goal is to be picking in that top 4, but I think something they've benefited from in recent years has been, the guys falling, kind of into their lap. That happened with Modest Bruzelis. He was somebody who was for a lot of time was talked about as a potential number 1 overall pick. He stumbles a little bit because of his 3-point shooting and G League Ignite, ends up at the 12 spot. Noah Senge, like, he was somebody that was a little bit all over the board, and I know people have been frustrated this year by him not playing, but there's a case you can make that he was still available there when some people didn't expect him to be. And so I think this year, like, you're hoping for that situation to potentially play out again if you're around that 10 spot. I know one guy that was obviously used to be seen very highly who's slipped a little is like Nate Ahmet from Tennessee. He's somebody that is this talented shooter, potential talented scorer, big wing. They've targeted those players in the past. So I'm looking at, like, those guys that we see as the draft board forms in this March Madness time, that there's some guys that are going to slip that were previously viewed very highly. And I think the Bulls could be in a good position to grab one of them. And speaking to we always get the debate every year of, okay, well, do you draft for need? All this, that's not going to matter for the Bulls, right? You just want talent. So I don't care if they have, both Senge and Bruzelis on the wing, both have this kind of scoring upside. If there's another player that you believe has extreme potential in that area of the floor, like, you still have to take that chance. You're not in a position to draft for need. You're in a position that you need as much star level potential talent as possible. And I think that I do expect them to probably take that mindset going into this draft with how not set in stone this roster is moving forward. But yeah, where they'll end up, who will know? I think you brought it up. It's going to be hard for them to move their lottery odds much higher here. So they're going to need some lottery luck.
All right, Elias Schuster joining us, the publisher for Bulls on SI. You can follow him over on the artist formerly known as Twitter, Schuster_Elias. Thanks for joining us today on Rahimi, Harris, and Grote, Elias.
Thank you guys so much, and let's see what happens over these next couple.
I mean, that said with such little confidence.
You didn't even believe it,
and
Elias.
I get it. Understand this: the Bulls are 11th in the East. If they somehow pass the Atlanta Hawks, it will be such an atrocity because the Hawks don't even own their own pick. That means they're trying no matter what. So if you pass a team that's trying and you're a game and a half behind them with less than 30 games of play, that means you did it wrong. If you're the Bulls, if
I
your
don't think it's
stated
going to
goal is
happen.
true.
I don't think it's going to happen. But I will just say, at the end of the day, at least there's going to be a lot to talk about. So
Always a
That's
lot to
fair.
talk about with these Bulls. Thanks so much, Elias.